Hi, just another quick video today about how to approach traffic lights. I often get asked by pupils, and there's an example of how not to approach some traffic lights by our local friends here. So how should we approach traffic lights? When should we stop? So I'm going to give you a few tips on how to anticipate traffic lights based on the colour as you first see them, how to drive up to them, when you should go through, when you should stop on an amber light, because it isn't always clear cut whether you should stop or go. So as I say, hopefully it won't take too long. You'll get a few good tips out of the video. If you like it, please share it or click like. And again, if you want any more tips or advice, just contact me by my website or by my YouTube channel. Thank you. So driving down some traffic lights now, they've been green for a good few seconds, so what I really should be doing is slowing down a bit, because there's a good chance that they might change before I get there, as they have there. But because I speeded up, I've had to brake quite hard and come to what would be quite an uncomfortable stop for my passengers. So that's an example of how not to drive up to your traffic lights. We could see they were green, chances are they were going to be changing before we got there. Should have been easy enough so that I was ready to stop, and the stop would have been a lot steadier. So we'll see that now in action the next time round. So the traffic lights ahead have been green for some time, so rather than rushing in, I'm just going steadily. I'm expecting that they may change, and this time, as you can see, I've been able to stop a lot more steadily, not taking anybody by surprise. Any passengers will be a lot more comfortable. And we've also got a queue of traffic into the left here, so this is actually clearly demonstrating another problem. The grey car has followed the blue learner that we can just see to our left, and really he should have stayed behind because the learner's exit was not completely clear, so she's not been able to get out of the junction properly, and then the grey car's been left sat in the junction. So again, that's another example of how not to deal with traffic lights. If the exit's not clear, stay out of the junction, stay behind the stop line, no matter how tempting it might feel to go through, else you might end up in the same sort of position as that grey car was back there. Now we have a red traffic light. Again, I'm going too quickly up to it. I'm not giving it a chance to change. Again, I'm having to stop quickly. I would have been better again going steadily up to that light. It may have changed before I got there, and then I may have found that I didn't have to stop at all. But by rushing up to the light, I've had to stop again quite harsh. So at the next light, we're going to try and see that put into action more steadily. So again, the traffic light ahead is red. It's been red for quite some time, so there's a good chance it'll be changing back to amber shortly. So this time I'm just easing off my gas, I'm letting the car slow right down and crawl, and what I hopefully will find is that that light's going to cycle back through to amber and back onto green before I get there. Okay, on this occasion it's not quite worked, we have had to stop, but as you see it's a nice gentle stop, no problems for people behind me, and again comfort for my passengers. We'll see if we can catch one where we don't actually have to stop. So again, the next traffic light's red, so I'm just slowing the car down steadily, dropping my speed, and there you go. Lights have gone back to green. Still keeping myself steady because I need the cars in front of me to get going before I can get going. And again, I've managed to avoid stopping. Got myself through those lights and proceeded on to the next set. These are going to be longer, so it doesn't always work as we said, but again it's going to be a nice steady level stop, nice and comfortable, not catching out anybody behind me. If you avoid stopping, you're going to avoid having to get going again, so you know you're not going to have to do a hill start, you're not necessarily going to have to move off, you're not going to have to worry about your handbrake, etc. Makes your life easier, makes it more comfortable, and if we're going to talk economy, as you'll have got from one of my previous videos, it's more economical if you don't have to keep stopping and starting the car. Now what about dealing with an amber light? Now that amber light's just changed, I'm more than 2 seconds back, so I am going to stop. That's my general rule of thumb. If you're 2 seconds or more from an amber light when it changes, you should be stopping. You should also be checking your mirrors before you stop, just to see if your stop's going to affect anybody behind you. But basically, if you've got at least 2 seconds to stop, you should be able to stop in a reasonably controlled manner and shouldn't catch people out behind you. If it's less than 2 seconds, then your stop is likely to be quite harsh. And if somebody's travelling quickly behind you and you haven't looked properly, then you're going to catch them out. From a driving test point of view, if you stop quite harshly for an amber light, when really you should have been thinking about going through it, and there's somebody close behind you, that's potentially going to be a serious fault for the instructor, for the examiner, an immediate fail on your test. So on this occasion, stopping would have been dangerous because I would have been braking heavily and would have been unlikely to stop in time. However, this next light, obviously I've got a lot of warnings, so I'm definitely going to be stopping at this amber light, which is now red. Generally speaking, I apply the 2 second rule. So if, as you're approaching a set of traffic lights, you are more than 2 seconds away as they change from green to amber, you really should stop, because amber does mean stop if it's safe to do so. If on the other hand you're within 2 seconds of the light, especially if you have vehicles following you, you should go through the light, because the stop is going to be quite a hard stop, closer to an emergency stop, and traffic following you is likely to be caught out. So remember, amber is stop if it's safe to do so. However, if you find yourself going through a lot of amber lights, then you're probably approaching them too quickly and not necessarily taking the advice that I've given earlier in this video. Another thing to deal with traffic lights is filter systems. So here we've got a filtered light. Currently people turning left are allowed to go, but we're still held on red. We need the green light, as it's come on now, pointing ahead, because that's where we want to go. So the green arrow ahead coming on to say that we can go, or if we wanted to turn right, the green arrow to the right. Filter arrows can sometimes be identified by basically an extra light at the bottom sticking out of the side of the lights, and the sequence, it's going to really depend. Sometimes the filter will come on before the main traffic light, sometimes it will come on after. In that case, all 3 lanes were filtered, so all 3 lanes had an arrow, but on some occasions you may have just one green light which will apply to everybody that can see it, and then an additional filter which may come on to allow traffic to move a bit later on. Here again, 2 filters, one ahead, one to the right for the bus station. Another aspect of traffic lights, and in this case a pedestrian crossing, that sometimes catches people out is flashing amber. Flashing amber basically means you can move off if the crossing is now clear. So on that occasion, the lady and her daughter had finished crossing the road when the flashing amber came on. She was all the way off the other side of the crossing, so it was okay for us to continue on our journey.